This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Let's face it, life after service ain't always easy. Far too many veterans continue to struggle in silence. But you don't have to fight this battle alone, because we are here to help. This ain't no group therapy. It's the after party to the battle. Full speed ahead, after battle. Real talk, real stories, no BS.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here for another week of Full Speed Ahead After Battle. I am your host, as always, Josh McCabe, Navy veteran, suicide advocate, all-around good guy, I like to think, or so my wife thinks. It is October 20th, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I am back at home in North Texas. For anybody that tuned into the show last week or is just now catching up, I was in Mississippi last week taking care of the old man. We got some unfortunate news. He had some lymphoma cancer diagnosis, and so we went down there to not take care of. He's still early stages, so just going down to visit, hang out. We got some good news today from another follow-up appointment. It is stage 2 lymphoma. He's got a couple of spots, but the doctor is actually pretty positive with everything that's going on right now. They got to do more biopsy here in a few weeks, and so just kind of hanging around waiting to see how that goes. But he is in good spirits. The doctor's in good spirits. He's got a lot of family around him. So, for those of y'all that do the thoughts and prayers, please send them that way. He's a Army veteran himself. He retired out of the Army after 36 years, CW2. He did a lot of different tours to Germany, Kosovo, Iraq, Kuwait, a bunch of different places. And so he's been around. He's definitely one of the leading causes of why I ended up joining the Navy. Navy, Army, I get it. That goes back to the granddad, but I digress. So we're just waiting around to see how things go with that. So that is some good news. So on top of the other good news, what happened over the past weekend? Cowboys played the Redskins. That's always a big game of the year. Luckily, the Cowboys pulled it out, right? They were showing like that Cowboy team that we all know and love. They showed up. They played. Defense was on fire, but I think the player MVP of the game was our kicker, Brandon Aubrey, who broke the record last night for the most kicks past 60 yards. He broke Maher's record, which another great kicker. So, we'll see if they keep rolling that out in the next week in the game and see how that goes. But that's the last week's wrap-ups. Not much else going on, but let's really get into why we're here on this show. And we are here on MB Radio. Before I get started, one thing I always forget to do, because this isn't why I'm in it, But if you can see at the top, you can follow MB Radio, either at .us for the website, or you can follow them on Roku, Fire TV, Instagram, Facebook, X, all that good stuff. It's all out there. You can find me on YouTube at Full Speed Ahead After Battle on YouTube, as well as the Facebook page, Instagram. You can follow me at Josh McCabe 817. Like, subscribe, not just to make me famous. I'm not here to make me famous. I don't care who does this show. I'm here about getting this message out. So like, subscribe, share, comment, do all that stuff to get that message out there, because there's a lot of veterans out there that are struggling. And if they see this message and that helps them out, then we're doing what we're here to do. If y'all write in and tell me I'm not the guy to be doing the show, you don't look great, you sound funny, we want somebody else, that's fine. Tell me that. I'm all for some good criticism, as long as that message gets out there. All right. One of the things that we really talk about on here is the transition from the military into the civilian world. And that is probably one of the leading causes. I wouldn't say it's the main cause. One of the leading causes for veteran suicide. And as I state every week, and I will continue every week, 22 veterans commit suicide every day. Now, when you factor in the VA and the healthcare and everything like that, the veteran numbers actually have gone down a little bit. It's a little bit lower than 22, but we still stick with that 22 because on average. But when you start factoring in, just the everyday civilian or the first responders, firefighters, policemen, you're looking at closer to 25 to 30 suicides every single day. And that is just obviously way too many. And, today's message, I think we're discussing the suicide, but we're discussing life after suicide, whether it's on the family or those that attempted it and were not successful. I say luckily, because you're still here with us. You're still here to carry on that message. And let me tell you a story. I think I've said it on here before, but I talked to an older veteran not too long ago. Vietnam veteran, and he came up to me and he said, "Hey man, I've heard your story. I know what you're doing with the VFW, what you're doing in general to get that message out there." He told me not long after getting back from Vietnam, he had those thoughts in his head and he took a gun to his chest and shot himself. And he did not kill himself, and he's still here today. He said he's never thought about it. He's never attempted it ever since then. He's never talked about it to any of his comrades in the VFW or anywhere else. So I told him I'd keep it, close to me, but I do want to share that story because now those older veterans, there's a big stigma. They just don't talk about service in general, let alone when it comes to mental health and veteran suicide. And he said that now that he sees it happening more and more, that we do need to have those conversations out there. There's still that stigma of let's not touch that subject. That's too touchy. That's too close. That's too morbid. But guess what? It is what it is. It's not going away. So this is one of those conversations that we need to have each and every day. So if you're out there and you're contemplating it, going to attempt it, or have already tried it, or whatever, know that there's still more for you, right? Things do get better. And I can attest to that. Things do get better. It may take a while. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be next week. Things do get better. It takes work. It's a lot of hard work to move forward, especially from life after service. People say, man, it's no different than switching jobs all the time, right? Civilians, they switch jobs all the time. It's honestly, it's not the same. For those ones that have been to battle, have been to war, have done some things, seen some things, it's not just like you can quit that and go work in an office or work at the local gas station. All of that follows you, whether it's the plus or the bad, and it carries on in your everyday life. It continues to affect you. But I want to talk about our guest today a little bit before I bring her on. She's not a veteran herself, and that's okay, because we like to bring on anybody that's going to share that story, as far as transition, suicide, mental health, etc. But my guest today is Tiffaney Childers. She is an author, speaker, suicide loss advocate. She's got a new book coming out called The Rise Back: Reclaiming Life After Suicide Loss, Pain and Silence, launching this October. We'll talk about that and get more into that. She's also a member of a loss team, which I think is great. She gets out into the public right after a suicide happens or is attempted, and she gets out there, talks to them and the family, and works with them to help them understand how to move forward from that. And we'll get more into that. She's also the creator of the R.I.S.E method and a bunch of other tools and stuff that we're going to get more into. I'm going to let her talk about that because I am by no means a professional when it comes to this. I'm just a simple veteran that is here to try to get the message out, bring those people in that know more than I do, because you always say, I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room, right? I want other people in the room with me that are smarter than I am, because they're going to make me better. And that's what I do on this show. I bring in those professionals. I bring in the people that have been doing this a lot longer than I have, that know more about it, or they have different aspects, perspectives on it and whatnot. So with that being said, I am going to move in and welcome our guest today right after the interview of the week.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Tiffany, hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Well, I'm happy you're here. You know, I saw your bio a while back on social media, and I'm like, this lady gets it. She's out there doing good. And you wrote me, you're talking to people in the community, and you're a strong advocate for suicide loss and things like that. So, you know, before we get into that, I told everybody you're not a veteran, and that's okay. Perfectly okay. Because we take everybody on the show that has a hand in everything. So before we get started, why don't you share a little bit about Tiffany and who you are?
Okay. Well, first of all, lots of love heading to your dad. Super sorry to hear that, but lots of love heading towards him. And second of all, thank you so much for being a vessel. You are a vessel for this important information. Like, it is my passion. Suicide loss, suicide prevention is my passion. Unfortunately, I lost both of my parents to suicide 1 year and 5 days apart. I lost my mom, and then I lost my dad. This has been 18 years ago. And I will tell you that it changed the trajectory of my life. I shoved it all down. I had young kids. My kids were 3 and 5. I was married, still am married, been married 26 years. But when you're trying to navigate raising kids, keeping a marriage together, working, I shoved everything down. I didn't have time to grieve. I didn't know how to grieve. You know, back then we didn't have any support groups. We didn't have a loss team to come and say, here's information. Here's support. Here's how you can get therapy. Well, I didn't have anything. The police officers at the time, they have got so much better when they come on scene, helping. The loss team kind of helped streamline that with the police officers on scene to kind of to be the go-between between the police officers and the family. So, but we didn't have that back then. It was just pure silence. We had no idea what was going on inside the house, you know. And a lot of times, law enforcement has to determine, is it a suicide or is it a murder? A lot, it mimics each other a lot, especially if there's a weapon involved. So they've got to get to the bottom of things before they can talk to the family. And then usually the family is kind of the last to know what's going on. So, I mean, it was scary. I can't even tell you how it changed my life. My sister's life, my brother's life, who is deceased now too. My brother is, but so I shoved everything down for 18 years. And then of course, what do most people do? You self-medicate. So you start drinking to just numb everything out. And then you drink some more. Let's numb this some more because I don't want to deal with these feelings. And, you know, you can still be a great mother, great parent, great wife, and still, self-medicate. I got into CrossFit there in between all of that and kind of the messy middle for 11 years. I did CrossFit. That was like my medicine. And trust me, you can still drink and you can still deadlift. You can still do all those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, you self-medicate and people find ways to kind of just avoid the healing process. And so after 18 years, I really had convinced myself that I was healed. I did. I don't know why or how, because I never put in the work, never put in 1 ounce of work to heal. I was the poor, pitiful me, And so a year ago, I had a hip surgery. I think all my years of CrossFit tore up my hip. So I had a labral tear repair that kind of went south. I ended up getting a condition called chronic regional pain syndrome from that.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I have chronic pain. It's not in my hip, it's in my foot. So trust me when I say your emotional things that you shove down will come out physically in your body some way, somehow. It's fact. But I guess the kind of the blessing behind all that is that I quit drinking once I had that surgery and everything went south. And, once I quit drinking, that mask came off and all I had left was me. Poor, pitiful me. So I realized that Ed McMahon wasn't going to come give me $1 million check for being a survivor and surviving for 18 years and numbing for 18 years. So I had to pick myself up and pull up my bootstraps and get to work on healing myself. And it has been a journey. I think transformation comes from our darkest moments.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep, I completely agree with that because, the whole reason why I got into doing this show and everything was a while back. I was going through a lot of different things, obviously, within my personal life and things like that. And I had one night where, like you said, veterans self-medicate. And after a while, you turn from beer to liquor to other things. And so, one night I had too much to drink and I called my wife, talking to her in a panic attack. And this is right before I had to have a medical thing going on, a medical appointment the next day. And I was so worried. And I woke up the next morning after that long night. And I'm like, just like you, I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
This is not the way to go. This is not going to help me in the long run. It's going to end up killing me. And so like you just said, it's those dark moments that sometimes transfer us into the good and what we do. And so now this is where I'm running and trying to get other people to see that with a little bit of work or a lot of work, things will get better. Right. So I'm definitely with you on the dark side part of it. Yeah.
I think this is amazing that you have this vessel to get this information out to people because, we learn a lot about veterans in the lost team. And,
right.
Thomas Joyner has this book, he has the 3-piece model of why people take their lives. And, this is especially with veterans. You have the capability, you're trained in firearms, you have access to them.
Yep.
I think that you're kind of desensitized to fear and pain. So you have, once you transfer into civilian life, you kind of lose that belonging. You lose the camaraderie, you lose your structure, you lose the shared purpose. And then you have the perceived burden that you think you're a burden. You have guilt, you have shame, and you have trouble acclimating to life. It's not as fulfilling as it was. So those are your 3 things right there that really trigger someone. And then add alcohol into the mix, and then you're just not rational. You're not in your right mind.
Right.
And I'm going to throw this out there, and a lot of people don't agree with me, but you add antidepressants into the mix, which, don't get me wrong, it can help a lot of people, but sometimes it'll have the reverse effect for about 3 to 4 weeks. And some people don't realize that. because you are changing the brain function.
Right.
Rewiring the brain with medications. And so that can kind of have an effect too. And, it kind of erodes your body's instinct for self-preservation.
Yeah.
And that's just facts.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like that. And sometimes I get lots of negative feedback, but it's truth. We have to know what we're putting in our body. We have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's a whole nother show for another time with the VA, and that's all that they want to do is pump out all the veterans full of drugs on drugs on drugs. And that's why we know that it's not working. We see those effects on ourselves, our brothers, our sisters, and there's a lot of organizations out there fighting legislation and whatnot for alternative medicines or healthcare or whatever you want to call it. And and that you're definitely right. When you first start that medication, it's supposed to help you, but just like anything else you put in your body, it affects you differently until everything levels out, and then it'll start working. But VA is just pop that in you. They won't give you that information. They'll just say, here you go, you'll be good. And we got to figure it out on our own sometimes. Look, let's go back a little bit because when I have conversations with people and we start talking about, they feel like they're better off not here. Like their family would be better off without them. That way they're not worrying about their mental health or their things. So from your personal experience, losing your parents and then what you've done with the lost team, immediately after a suicide, what effect does that have on the family, whether it's mental or physical, financial? How is that family affected once that happens?
Gosh, in every way. But let me go back to tell you what that lost team actually does. So once we get a call from law enforcement, we show up within 15 minutes to a suicide, and we help the loved ones left behind navigate the worst day of their life. We're not there to preach. We're not there to say, do this, do that. We are simply present to say, I have been there and I am here for you. I am here with you. It could be something as simple as the dogs are going crazy and we let the dogs out. I've held babies and fed them while mom is going absolutely nuts, trying to deal with the police officer. Simple things. Okay. We hand them information as far as how to write an obituary. I mean, that's not something that the normal average person knows how to do. Why would we? So how to write an obituary. We give them kind of verbiage to tell family members or friends what happened, in a way that doesn't floor you. We let them know resources of therapy. So Dr. Frank Campbell is the one who originally designed the lost team back in like 1998, I think. So he wanted to get survivors of a loved one lost to suicide into therapy. In 4.5 years was about the average time that people were seeking therapy. He wanted to get that down to 4.5 months. And that is our goal, to get in therapy. If you don't want therapy, it's okay. We have support groups and they're peer led. They're not mental health led. They are peer led. So someone like me, a survivor like me. So nobody feels like they're in a therapy session, because some people don't want therapy, or some people have had therapy and it was the worst experience of their life, because you have to get a trauma-informed therapist that knows how to deal with suicide loss.
And just real quick, I pulled up on the screen here. This is for Tarrant County, the local MHMR. They do have their loss prevention team. Just so for people out there that see it, this is what Tiffaney is talking about. Is she's way out in West Texas, whereas this team is local to our Tarrant County team. But I'm sure there's Tiffaney one in most major areas.
There's Tarrant County, Denton County, Dallas County, and yes, most major areas. If there is not one, you can look up lostteam.com and see if your area has one. If there's not one, call any of them and they'll find local resources for you for help. Yes, that's the major one where you can look up and see if there's one in your area.
And I'm going to put that in the comments for anybody watching, that they can go to that website and check. So, that's great, because like you said before, Tiffany, this used to not be a thing, when policing many years ago, and I don't even know when it came out, but yeah, many years ago, they would go, okay, murder, suicide, whatever, and then close the case, and that's it. But obviously, there's still a lot of struggling people, and so I'm glad that, this came around, and that people like you are doing this.
So survivors are 7 times more likely to take their own life. It's fact. Yeah. So we really, 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 really need to get intervention to those people. And we have 3 support groups here in Amarillo now that are just incredible. And in fact, I'm hoping to start one next month that are for women that are a year out. It's not that fresh, raw grief. Right. It's not 5 weeks out. I want, your needs kind of change a year out, 5 years out, 15 years out, but it's still part of your life. It's like ingrained in your DNA that you lost somebody. And there's shame, there's guilt, there's such a stigma. I mean, I thought I was walking around for 18 years with a big old sign on my head that says, both of my parents took their life, And most people didn't know because I kept silent about it.
Yeah,
I did. And so that shows up in physical ways in your body. But we help. There's just so much chaos when we go on scene. There's so much chaos. And we really try to get the family and talk to them so the law enforcement can do their job, can get in there, get everything done, get the pictures, get, the determination of what has happened and get everything done. And we really are try to be the liaison between law enforcement and the family, which is huge, because back then, like I said, we didn't have that. We just sat up front, just like pacing in the yard, like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
It's a shocking.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm happy that those things are out there now. Groups like that you're doing that. It's great. Those people need help, and so we got that information out there for you viewers. They're on the comments, or you can go to lostteam.com, find that. We're going to take a quick couple-minute break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Tiffany's Rise Up method and the framework to get your life back after that. We'll be right back after these messages.
Signed up to fight for freedom. What a price you had to pay. Picture in a helmet, missing family every day. Your Lady Liberty, dressed like G.I. Jane. Some scars we'll never see. She will never be the same. She's a mother, she's a daughter. She's a sister and a friend. Standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. On that old dusty base with the meadows that shine, she's been to hell and back for the stars and the stripes. Your Lady Liberty, dressed like G.I. Jane, and some scars we'll never see, and she will never be the same. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend, standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve, 'cause you can't spell hero without her. Yeah, yes. For the ones that didn't make it, we will pause and then we cry. We can still see their smile in every sunrise. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend, standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve, 'cause you can't spell hero without her. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Full Speed Ahead After Battle. That was the Coffee Anderson with You Can't Spell Hero Without Her. Make sure, before we get started again, to go and like, subscribe, share, comment, do all that good stuff. We're all over Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Roku, Fire TV, all those good things. Get the message out there. This could be a show that does save someone's life if they see this. So that's what we're here for. We're here to get that message out. Tiffany, before we left, we were talking about the work that you do with the loss team and how great that is. And again, it's all over Texas, or you can go to that website, find it across the country. But let's talk about, you are the creator of the Rise Up method, and you have created this to help people get back on track in life and find courage and purpose within themselves. So do you care sharing a little bit about what Rise Up is?
I would love to share it. So after my surgery, and I was in such bad pain, I thought, man, Tiff, no one's coming to save you. Like, what do we have to do here? So it's an acronym. And so the R stands for reach out before you shut down. And this is so crucial. Isolation feels safe, but it is dangerous. Pain just thrives in silence. So you have to get into community. Connection is going to be your lifeline. Oh, it's on my website. Thank you.
Of course, we got to share the website. I mean, where people are going to find you at, right?
My website. So the I stands for ink it out. And I don't know if I know that most men do not want to journal. I did not want to journal at all. I thought it was for little girls with puff pens and paint pens and glitter pens. But I'm telling you, journaling, it's like a sacred release. Your thoughts have to have somewhere to go other than your body. You don't have to have any perfection. You just need honesty. So write your truth, write what's going on. I promise it'll help. And S is you have to sit with it. And I think this is the loneliest thing to do. And the loneliest place that you're going to be is to sit with it. And of course, if you decide to quit drinking or quit, doing whatever self-medication, you just have to sit and feel your feelings. And that is not a fun place to be, but grief demands to be felt. So sit with it instead of numbing. So the E is for embrace who you are becoming, because you're not going to be the same person that you used to be. And that's okay. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to step into the next version of yourself without shame and without apology. You is unlearn the lies. It is amazing what our brain tells us. Liar, liar, brain on fire is what I always say. And we carry these silent beliefs that were never ours to carry to begin with, especially after a suicide loss. We blame ourselves. Why didn't I do this? The what ifs. What if I would have called? What if I would have answered that text? Or, you have to replace that with truths. Those are just lies that your brain tells you to keep you stuck. So the P, and this isn't also another crucial one, is protect your peace. It is not selfish to protect your peace. It is very necessary. Not everyone deserves access to your healing. Not everybody has to be in your healing space. You don't have to explain your boundaries to anybody. They don't have to understand it. So you have to protect your peace. I always say garbage in, garbage out, especially what you watch on TV. Sometimes we can watch the news too much and, it sends us back into a tailspin because it's just fear mongering.
Right.
So, and especially things online too. So protect your peace. It's garbage in, garbage out. So that is the simple steps that you can do. And I promise you, it will start to help you get into the right mindset and be like, okay, get out, walk, move your body, get your sunshine, put a weighted vest on and walk. That's the only thing I can do right now is walk with my chronic pain. And I'm obsessed with it. I can't even wear a weighted vest anymore because it hurts my hip. But if you can, and you don't have to walk far. You don't have to walk far. Just get your sunshine. Get out. And the fresh air is like medicine. So those are simple steps for my R.I.S.E method that anybody can do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for anybody that's watching right now, it looks like you have a printable guide on your website you can print out and follow along.
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
So I'll print that out, and maybe it's not for yourself. Maybe it's for a loved one or a friend or whoever. Print it out, take it with you, and maybe somebody's going to need that.
Yes.
You never know. So
send it to anybody. Check on your people. Check on your people.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I know I got a lot.
Yeah. So, let's go back to the journaling one right quick. I'm sorry. Which letter was that?
That was the ink it out.
Ink it out. That's right.
And,
that's probably one of my hardest things is, writing it down. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with is because when you put pen to paper and you start seeing it in words and in front of you, that's when your mind really starts to change because you start, you're speaking it out loud, and that's when you start seeing it. And, you don't even, I'm going to say you don't even have to journal because, maybe you write a song or a poem or something and you're putting your feelings into that. Absolutely. And there's, I know in Tarrant County, at least there's a couple of groups where they come in and they teach veterans how to play guitars and write basic music. And so that goes along with that. That's people healing and putting their words into the songs and the music and so it doesn't have to just be journaling, like guys love to do, like you said.
Yeah, I know. Glitter pens and
in
the morning, first thing in the morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for.
Yeah.
And that's hard. That's hard. And I mean, when I was so sick, I mean, it was something like my favorite pen still has ink in it. That's about how grateful I was,
Right.
When you are in pain or you're suffering or you've got depression. I mean, sometimes you can't think of things beyond, I didn't spill my coffee,
Well, sometimes it's those simple things that make it, and one admiral said in a commencement speech to a college, and it was, if you want to succeed in life, the first thing you need to do is make your bed, because that's what's going to start your day off. Started off on the right foot, started off with a simple win. I mean, it sounds dumb, but it's a simple win, and then just build on it from there. Maybe that's all you do for a week, and then things get better, and maybe you finish that term paper or you get that promotion. You got to start with the simple things, right?
Yes, you have to keep it simple. Sometimes that's the only thing our brain can do is simple things.
And that's what a lot of us veterans do. I know at least in the Navy, we have that KISS term, right? KISS, and it's keep it simple, stupid. When you're trying to do things, it doesn't always have to be the most detailed, the most in-depth thing. Sometimes keeping it simple is the best way to go about it.
Yeah, sometimes you don't need a dragon to slay just yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, the R.I.S.E method, that sounds amazing. And so I'm assuming that that's what you kind of work into your loss team and things like that with the people that you help. Yeah.
Yes. It is very simple, but very effective.
So I see also on your webpage just below that you have a book coming out.
I do.
Later this month. So let's get into that. That's interesting.
Yes, in 10 days it is launching. So if anybody listening wants to be on my book launch, it's going to be a virtual book launch. It's just about a 15-minute Zoom, and we all purchase the book at the same time. And that helps launch my book to where it's visible on Amazon, so people can buy it. And hopefully, I mean, like I said, if I can help one person, then that's all I need to do is help one person. That's it.
Absolutely.
So you can sign up to my launch either on my Facebook page. There is a post, and then or my Instagram bio. There is a link where you can sign up, and I would just be honored if anybody would join my launch. I would love it. And if you can't, then you can buy it on Amazon starting October 30th.
Okay. So, reclaiming life after suicide, loss, pain, and silence. Do you mind walking us through a little bit about that? I don't want to give the whole book away, but I mean, just a little bit about it.
It's mainly a memoir of my life.
Okay.
There's nothing fancy. I do go through my R.I.S.E method. I do, some of the things that I've done to help me get out of that funk. And like I said, nobody was coming to save me. I had to do it myself. And so I talk a little bit about that, but most of it is about suicide loss and talking about my life and the loss team and stuff like that.
Okay.
And
Great.
So
y'all heard it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, so I was going to say for the viewers out there, you can find that on her page as well, risesavage.com. There's a link on there, or like she said, go to her Facebook, Instagram. I'll get that put out for y'all later. Check that book out. I'm sure it's going to be a big help to a lot of people. So y'all be sure to check that out. So let's go back a little bit. I asked a question earlier, and we kind of went off on the lost team. But let's dive into your personal perspective of when you lost your parents. How were you affected? How was your remaining family affected? How did y'all continue on, especially being young children at that, or younger at that time? So, what was that experience? Because, like we said earlier, a lot of people think, well, I'm better off not here, or my family's better off. But really, that solves your problem, but it creates so many more problems for the rest of your family. So would you mind giving us your personal experience from that?
My sister and my brother and I, we realized we were the only ones left out of the family we were born into. And we kind of created this like triangle of survival, but we didn't talk about it much because I think I knew if we did that we would all kind of break down. So really, I'm telling you, we all just out of sight, out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. We never really talked about it because then that would make it real. And that's what a lot of people do, it's just go silent. A lot of times I always say that after you lose a loved one to suicide, friends become strangers and strangers become friends because people just don't know what to say or what to do. But then the people that have been there, done that become your closest friends. Mm-hmm. So I can't say we all just kind of shoved it down.
Yeah,
we really, truly did. And don't do what I did. Don't do what I did. Trust me.
No. That's why we're here. That's why we're here, is to share these stories so that you don't do the same things, because we realize they're not healthy, right?
Exactly. Because now
don't bottle it in. People.
No. Now that I'm with the lost team, I go to support group every month. And like I said, it's been 18 years and I still go to support group. I will never not go to support group. I get so much, even now, out of the fresh, raw grief survivors. I get more from them, I think, than they ever do from me. But they can look at me and see, okay, you've done this, you've survived, this is where you are. Okay, maybe I can get there too. And I think that's the same way with you and, your veterans. People can see, okay, he's doing this, he's made it. Okay, I can too. And share your story. I know people feel so vulnerable in sharing your story. You could be somebody's lifeline.
Yeah.
Your story could be somebody's lifeline.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. And like why I told the story earlier about that other veterans, because you never know whose life you're going to change just by becoming comfortable with your story and sharing your story. That's showing other people that they can have the power to get their stories out there. The more stories we get out, the more people telling, I survived this, you can survive it. Even the old grizzly veterans, if they can do it nowadays, anybody can do it. And so,
and it's
you know, like I said,
men don't like to be vulnerable.
No, we do not.
Women don't either.
I'll give you a prime example. When I was in Mississippi last week, we were visiting family, and we're all sitting out back. My dad and his sister-in-law and my cousins were all sitting there. A couple of drinks, and my cousin pulls me off. It was this November, right around Thanksgiving time this year, 2 years ago. My uncle committed suicide right outside of his house there, and it was his youngest son that found him. And so, I was talking to my cousin, the middle cousin, who told me, I didn't know this until then, that, he had a conversation with his dad the night prior, and they got into a little bit of an argument. And then the next morning, the first thing we know is, his dad's gone. And so after 2 years, he's still thinking, if I had that conversation, did I not have that conversation? Would he still be here? What did I say wrong? What could I? And I'm like, that's where I'm like, brother, you can't do that to yourself. You're gonna eat yourself up. You're gonna tear yourself from the inside out trying to think.
None of us have a crystal ball that predicts any of this. Yeah. And it's nobody's fault. It's almost like the perfect storm. And when somebody is at the bottom of the barrel, it's the perfect storm in the brain. And they're not thinking rationally. They're not in their right mind. Right. And none of us have a crystal ball as to what's going to happen. And you can't love someone out of that space.
Right.
It's really difficult. But it took me a long time to realize none of this was my fault. None of it was. Yeah. But he's still in that space of, what did I do? The what ifs. What if I would have done this? What if I'd have done that?
Yeah. And it's a struggle. Their dad, they were one of those very close knit family growing up, very, very close family, and it's affected them all. And I know it has, and it'll continue to be a struggle. Like you say, it's not going to go anyway soon, but it's that healing process that you got to start working on. I don't think you'll ever be completely healed from a suicide, loss of a family member, but you can let it not consume yourself. You can move on it and make things better and work towards it. So
because that's such a toxic place to sit in that sadness. Yeah. It's so toxic to sit in that sadness.
It is. So before we wrap up the show today, we're going to have one more quick commercial. We're going to kind of lighten things up a little bit. I know this is a serious conversation, but again, we got to break that stigma that it's okay to talk about it. That's the only way that people are going to be able to get that help. So we're going to have one more quick showing, and then we'll be right back to wrap up with Tiffaney Childers. Y'all be right back.
60 years went rolling by. It was here we said goodbye. The war was brewing, it was extreme. We were only teens. I knew the day I died, all alone, my brand new bride. Our favorite song would be a sign I'd be back in time. So raise a flag with pride and grace. I seen the pain on a soldier's face. Bring me home, both sides say I'm a soldier of the USA. You weren't alone all these years. Seen you cry, I know your tears. You raised our child and a family, all without me. You've done well with your life, lots of friends by your side. I heard a nightly secret prayer I was always there. So raise our flag with pride and grace. I seen the pain on a soldier's face. Bring me home, both sides say I'm a soldier of the USA. Now it's time, my lovely wife, to bring you home. Say goodnight. Close your eyes to our favorite song. Can you see me now? Can you see me now? One day we'll come back in time for those we leave behind. But for now, we'll watch them grow. Welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on Full Speed Ahead After Battle. That was Soldier's Prayer by John Michael Ferrari. My guest this evening is Tiffaney Childers. She's author, speaker, suicide loss advocate. Her book is coming out later this month. You can find that and more at her website, risesavage.com. Tiffaney, real quick before we leave, I wanted to point this out, something you said to me in your email, and I think this stuck with me, is we don't always get a choice in what happens to us. We do get a choice to how we respond and how we rise back. And I think that says the world, especially when you start talking about moving on from when a loved one or a friend or someone commits suicide. So with that, any last words from you on anything related to this topic? There's so much I know we could talk about.
I know, it's such a heavy subject.
Yeah.
You know, I just would like to encourage people, you know, you've got to just reestablish a new path and a new purpose and a new sense of identity. Perspective is always a choice, and you have to do the work to change your mindset, change your perspective, find joy, find gratitude in the small things. And it's soul changing. It is possible to heal.
That's great. Well, Tiffaney, thank you for being on the show tonight. I look forward to hearing from you, and I can't wait to read that book when it comes out. I'll see if we can get on for that. So thank you once again for everything that you do and continue to do to help, you know, suicide lost people out there. I think you're doing great work. So thank you for doing that.
It was an honor, Josh. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a great evening.
All right. You do the same.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this episode, or coming to an end on this episode. Real quick before I get into my final farewell, my final message. Again, please, top of the screen here, MB Radio on Roku, Fire TV, Instagram, Facebook, X. You can find me on Facebook, Full Speed Ahead After Battle. You can find it under Josh McCabe if you want to go there. YouTube, Instagram, Josh McCabe 817. I'll be putting out these videos once a week. I'll be having some other information. Not only the videos, though, I do share a lot of information, whether it's from the VA when it comes to suicide prevention or crisis, the mental health groups, anywhere that put out suicide awareness and mental health information. I share that information. I try to make it easily and more accessible for everybody out there. That way, it is just a click away. I always say, reach out to your people, check on them, check on your battle buddies. You never know, that one phone call, that one text might be the one to save a life. Some people say, reach out to me. If you're feeling down, reach out. Either way, I don't care. Somebody else said, don't wait for them to reach out. I don't care. Somebody talk to somebody, okay? Whether you're reaching out to them, they reach out to you. Don't just leave them hanging. Talk to them. Get them the help that they need. If you got to sit with them, to call the 988 crisis line, or you need to take them to the VA hospital or wherever they need help, get that help. So next week, we got another great team coming up. We're going to have another great talk with a veteran. He is on the way up with some mission-focused coaching. He's going to be a great addition to the show. I know that. But again, this week, guys, we've all got a lot going on. Stick with it. Things get better. There is help out there. I'm not going to say ask for it, but go ask for it. Reach out, check on your people. Things get better. And just always, as I always say, remember, you're not in this fight alone. There's people with you. All right. This is it for this night's episode of Full Speed Ahead After Battle. I will see y'all same time, same channel next Monday, 7 p.m. Central. Y'all have a great week and stay safe out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us, giving our veterans a voice.